Yes, sir. And with that, I must be in the right place. The fight song has been played. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Cowboys week. Welcome to the first edition of Inside the Eagles. Fansided, you have made a mistake. Fansided has been around for 15 years. This is the first episode ever of the Inside the Eagles podcast. And they truly made a mistake by giving me live airtime. I promise you that. We're going to have fun. We got guests lined up. We got one that actually decided to hang out with me today, ladies and gentlemen, because it's December 23rd, which means tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to everybody. It's very hard to find guests on Christmas Eve, by the way. But a very good friend of mine has come by and decided to hang out and spend some time with us and everything, and we're very respectful of your time. So let's get it started. I have 90 minutes worth of material to get through. We have 60 minutes to do it. God help us. We'll see what happens. Cowboys week. As many of you know, the NFC East has been referred to as the NFC least for quite some time. Worst division in football. It's been possible to win it with a 9-7 record. The Eagles, 2 years in a row, made the playoffs with 9 wins. NFC least no more. Commonly referred to by some as the money division, referred to by others as the glamour division, the NFC East is back. Best division in football. Had the playoffs started after week 14, all 4 members of the NFC East would have made it to the playoffs. Hard to believe, but true. Now, I don't have to spend any time or waste any of your time telling you how much we despise the Dallas Cowboys nation, the Dallas Cowboys themselves. In some ways, the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry has become so vicious. There's been so much animosity that we have lost track of the fact of how much we hate the Giants. I truly despise the New York Giants. Can't stand them. Long before you and I were formed in our mother's wombs, the Eagles and the Giants have been doing war on this planet. They bet more than they met the Cowboys. Big Blue, as they call it. Long after you and I are gone, the Eagles will still be doing war with the New York Giants. But it's in my opinion, and you're allowed to disagree if you like, it's in my opinion that rivalry has taken a backseat to the Cowboys because lately it hasn't quite felt like a rivalry. We always beat the Giants. Always. It's not even a thought. We beat the Giants a couple of weeks ago. We'll beat them a couple of weeks from now. The Cowboys, on the other hand, especially with newer, younger Eagles who are now coming into the fold and getting to know this organization and this team and how we do things here, they don't really appreciate the New York Giants-Eagles rivalry as much as they appreciate the Cowboys, and I have a reason for why that is. It's different. As much as I despise the New York Giants, there's a level of respect there. I actually respect the Giants. Cowboys, on the other hand, I can't stand their fans. I can't stand the organization. I don't like the team colors. The Cowboys are how I developed an understanding of what hate is. I had no concept of hate until the first grade when I walked into a first grade classroom. My last name being Jeffrey Knox, there was a dude behind me by the name of Jeremy Knight. For most of my life, this dude either sat in front of me or behind me in class. He was a diehard Cowboys fan. Didn't like the colors. I started to see certain parts of his personality and certain aspects of him that I would begin to see over and over and over again from Cowboys Nation. Loud, obnoxious, all over the place when they win. Disappears from sight when things go wrong. If you notice, it's Cowboys week and it's been kind of quiet from the other side. Why? Because it took everything they had 2 weeks ago to put away the Houston Texans. Took everything they had. They needed a last-second drive to put away the worst team in football. And a week ago, you know how it ended. With a pick 6 by Dak Prescott and a touchdown. And our boy, Doug Peterson, delivered an early Christmas present. It was amazing to watch. Had I not been so wrapped up in how much I can't stand this team, I actually would have loaded the clip and played it for you again, just so you can relive it one more time. But it's not important. All that's important is the next week. This week coming up, and it's Cowboys week. It's different. Why is it different? Because you know how they act. Every time we post something on Inside the Eagles, they're all on our page. Why do you come over here so much? It's almost like breaking up with somebody and you realize that they never really got over the relationship like you did. You've moved on. You got a new boo, a new significant other. You moved into a new house, and they still on social media talking trash about what you and what you're doing. But they've been quiet this week because they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what Cowboys fans do. But it's the holiday season. Some of you may be related to Cowboys fans. And your boy GQ is going to teach you how to deal with them. At the end of the show, we have the 10 commandments. How you deal with Cowboys fans during this holiday season. Upon years upon years upon years of dealing with this franchise and getting to know them and being aggravated by their fan base and everybody else that talks about this team, having to listen to ESPN tell us every single year that this team is going to the Super Bowl anytime they win any game, only to see them crash and burn for what's been doggone near 3 decades now. But they've been quiet. But they won't be for long, especially if they pull out this game on Christmas Eve. They'll be all over the place, just like they've always been, because that's what they do. They ride for their team when things go right. They disappear from sight. You can't find a Cowboys fan now. I'm about to start putting them on milk cartons. Where are they? But, is he ready? I got my homeboy here with me, formerly of the Landry Hat. The Landry Hat is fan-sided site dedicated to all things Dallas Cowboys, run by a very good friend of mine, Lauren Barash. Lauren, I hope you're listening. I know you probably are. But we want to be respectful of everybody's time. Like I said, I have a script with 90 minutes worth of material to get through and to entertain you guys on this evening because you guys were nice enough to take time out of your schedule and hang out with Inside the Eagles. So we want to be fun. We want to be entertaining. And I'm already off script. 10 minutes into the show, I have not done anything I said I was going to do because they took me there like they always do. But let's bring them in. This ought to be fun. Time to talk about the game. Who are you picking? Gardner Minshew got the start this week. Doug Peterson talked about that, and this is what he had to say.
It's looking like it's going to be Gardner. Jalen did everything he possibly could to get his body ready to go, and it just at the end of the day, he's not gonna be able to do it. And he tried like crazy, and I know he still wants to go. That's just the toughness that Jalen Hurts is the toughest player I've ever been around.
Jalen is a tough dude, but I got a secret for y'all. I've been saying 30-24 all week. The line has been all over the place. I think the line opened at 1. It shot up to 3. It went to 6. It came back down to 4.5. I have no idea where it is now. I haven't looked at the line in 3 days. But when it hit 6, I said 6 will be the line. But it's going to flip to the other side. I've been saying 30-24 all week. Let's see what my homeboy Angel Torres has to say. Angel, welcome to Inside the Eagles, homeboy. Formerly of the Landry Hat. Great man here. Served our country very well. Thank you for your service. A little late for Veterans Day, but I still wanted to say that to you anyway. How you been doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, GQ. I appreciate you for having me on, man. How's it going?
No, man, I appreciate you for coming on because I understand that, like I think I told you off air, I think your family's probably mad at me and everything for taking you away from him on the holiday season.
They'd be all right. I got some family here. You see me stuck in this room right now, not my normal spot, but, family, they got priority right now, and there's not much I can say with the missus, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me ask you this, man. Let's just get right into it. Micah Parsons. Now, people got mad at me because I said that and I listened to what he said. I really wasn't as bothered by what he said as everybody else. I feel like he took a shot in there somewhere, but I wasn't as bothered by what he said. What did you get from the Micah Parsons comments?
I mean, it wouldn't be a rivalry if there wasn't shots taken between the teams. So I kind of liked it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's not characteristic of Micah to say things like that usually, I didn't see a problem with it at first. I can see how, Eagles fans construed it a certain way and are probably using it as a bulletin board material this week, But, it is what it is. And, I didn't think it was too big of a deal.
Gotcha. So with that being said, right after that, I think you might have heard me talking a little bit about it, talking a little trash about it before you came on and everything. Right after that, 2 teams are on the road. The Eagles took care of business. And I actually personally believe that that's part of the reason Jalen is actually sitting out this week because I need my coach to be a little bit more not necessarily in the moment, but a little bit less sensitive to some degree as he's been. Because every game, it seems like, now I understand the AJ thing. I actually enjoy watching AJ run all over Tennessee. But every game doesn't need to be a defense for something else. And the games the Eagles have struggled the most in were the games he was the most emotional about. He's going back to Indianapolis. He's facing the former team that fired his coach. They struggled in that one, but they pulled it out. Eagles are undefeated on the road. A win is a win. I understand all that. The next game, I feel like they were being too intentional about, after what Micah said, trying to prove that Jalen Hurts was the MVP. So we stopped handing the ball to Miles as much. Jalen is running and everything. Michael, we're going to show you Jalen going to win this MVP today. Am I correct in that? Is that what you got of that?
That Jalen's going to win MVP?
No, that sort of like Nick was trying to use the Bears game as a platform for Jalen to prove that he's the MVP, to prove Michael Parsons wrong.
Possibly, but you got to give the Bears some credit. It's not easy, facing your own medicine. You guys kind of run the same thing, maybe not as, or the Bears don't run it as creatively as Philadelphia does, but they're similar in the way that they like to use their quarterback to run the football. So whenever you saw the defense trying to struggle containing Jalen Hurts, or excuse me, Justin Fields, he's been a problem for everybody. You know what I mean? So I don't think you guys were looking past, maybe a little, but it's hard enough to win games in the NFL nowadays. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
They got pro players on both sides of the ball and everything and stuff. And the Cowboys took a lot of flack for what happened against Houston, but Houston's balling, right? Like you feel like you got Houston's best shot in that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's an in-state rivalry. We're always going to get everyone's biggest shot. Everyone hates the Cowboys, right? You go on every network and everyone's talking about us in some sort of fashion. But hey, credit to Lovie Smith. He's a defensive guru. He ran a lot of two high safety in that game, three linebackers, and it was tough. We are dealing with a whole lot of injuries, especially on the offensive line. We lost Terrence Steele in that game. We have Josh Ball. He was playing on the right side. He's still a project at this point. You know what I mean? So it's perfect timing that the Cowboys were able to get Tyron Smith back, but we're still juggling through injuries and trying to figure out who to plug where.
Now, I know what we say nationally about Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy for the most part. I understand what we say as far as Eagles fans, what our opinions are about Mike McCarthy and what our opinions are about Dak Prescott, whatever his limitations may be or whatever. What is the vibe around Cowboys Nation? How do the Cowboys fans, Cowboys media, how do they feel about Mike McCarthy? How do they feel about Dak Prescott?
It's kind of weird. It's kind of split down the middle. Whenever you look at the national media, you look at the Buffalo Bills, and it seems like everyone in Buffalo loves Josh Allen, and everyone in Philadelphia loves Jalen Hurts, and then you get to Cowboy land, and everything's split, And one of the reasons I think that is because of the voice that the Cowboys are able to project and what Jerry has built. Myself personally, I think Dak is a top tier quarterback. There's only one elite quarterback in the NFL right now, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And I think we can all agree with that. Everyone else is in the tier below, looking up to Patrick, right? Dak is,
You'd even put Josh Allen in that category?
No, not yet. I mean, you look at Dak Prescott's statistics last year, and you compare it to Josh Allen's. Dak was better, right? He had more yards, he had more touchdown passes, he had less interceptions. But yet, because of the big divide in Dallas of is Dak Prescott good or not, Josh Allen kind of leapfrogged him because of all the love he gets in Buffalo, and how loved and revered he is in that area. So, yeah, I don't believe so. When it comes to Mike McCarthy, the shiny object is Sean Payton, right? He's the guy that everyone wants. It's easy to connect the dots. And the natural connection right there is, Jerry Jones loves the guy, and Sean, his family lives in Dallas. I think Mike McCarthy has done a fabulous job. I mean, we've gone, what is this, 10 wins, or we win 11 if we get another win on tomorrow. It'll be the first back-to-back 11 wins since like 95, 96. I mean, we're seeing Super Bowl era stuff from McCarthy, and it's going mainly unnoticed because the Cowboys want more. You have to win a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think Mike McCarthy is the guy to get the job done? Do you trust him in the playoffs?
I do. I do. I mean, he's climbed the mountaintop before, and unless you're Tom Brady, you look around the landscape of the NFL and, Drew Brees has one, Aaron Rodgers has one, you start sprinkling in, other than Eli, not too many guys have multiple Super Bowls. So, yeah, for a guy that's come in and kind of changed the way this organization thinks a little bit, I definitely think he could take us over the top.
And Dak, you feel the same way about Dak?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Dallas has had the. I think they were first, third, first in the past 3 seasons on offense. I mean, that's a credit to Dak Prescott himself. You know what I'm saying? And then this year, ever since he came back from his injury, the Dallas Cowboys had the number one offense throughout the NFL. So yeah, I get the interceptions are a problem. I do credit more than half of those interceptions to the offensive line or somebody getting beat and Dak having to force the ball someplace he didn't really want to throw it.
I think Dak is a little bit better than people give him credit for. So I'm gonna give you some of the criticisms that you've probably heard before. I want your response to him. Dak Prescott needs the situation to be perfect in order for him to be successful consistently.
You saw Cooper Rush, right, come in, and the offense, got carried by the defense in the first portion of the season. The Dak has taken these guys to almost the first, statistical rankings throughout the NFL since his return. So I don't think so.
Dak is injured. Cooper Rush comes in. Cooper should remain the quarterback when Dak Prescott is healthy. What was you thinking when you heard that?
Absolutely not. I mean, I get it. Cooper came in, he did some things. I think the main point of it was, I was at the Tampa game. Week one, seeing Tom Brady. I'm thinking, the Cowboys going to go in there and get some revenge from the season prior. And Tom beats us. 19-3. You're walking out of the stadium a little bit dejected, thinking, man, Dak is out. And Cooper comes in and does an admirable job. So you have to think that, or you have to understand that Cowboy fans are kind of clinging to anything at that point. You know what I'm saying? So when he started going on his little run, that's when you started hearing the little chatter about, hey, let's replace Dak Prescott. Totally unfounded. He's come in and done a phenomenal job.
What was the vibe like when Dak went down in the first place? I mean, the Cowboys were struggling. I think that when did they had 3 points when he went down? Was that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. It was an ugly offseason. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we traded away Amari Cooper. We cut Lyle Collins. There's no clear replacements through free agency. They didn't spend too much money in free agency. And to be honest with you, it was one of the worst off seasons that I've encountered in the 20 plus 25 plus years that I've really been covering the Cowboys or really been looking at the Cowboys. And so when he went down, it just put a cherry on top of what we thought the season was going to be. We're already thinking about top 10 picks and things of that nature. So for Cooper Rush to come in and do a good job, that's where you kind of got the chatter. But Dak Prescott has done, what he always does. He silences critics.
Mm-hmm. The Eagles are 13-1, best record in the NFL, 7-0 on the road, lead the league in sacks, lead the league in turnover margin, things of that nature. Is there any fear from Cowboys Nation about how good this Eagles can be and whether or not they can hoist the Vince Lombardi Trophy again?
I wouldn't say necessarily fear. We do respect that Philadelphia, you guys have a squad. There's no debating that. You guys have a very talented squad. I think, what is it, 19 of your roster were either Pro Bowl selections or alternates. I mean, that's darn near our whole team. So we understand, the way you guys have set up. But there's no fear on this side. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's a lot of optimism because of the first matchup. Remember, I know you've been covering the NFCs for a long time. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So I remember when the Cowboys were good and Washington wasn't that, and they came in and beat us, and vice versa. Anything can happen. So fear, no, we know each other too well, but we do respect you guys, and I think they understand that, especially after that first matchup.
All right, we're jumping all over the place here and everything. I'm gonna take you back in time. I'm gonna take you
Okay, let's go.
take you past the off season. I'm gonna take you back to that playoff game.
I'm 15 again.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you back to that playoff game, man. That final drive versus San Francisco. What in the world happened?
Oh man, Hey, look, credit to San Francisco. When you look back at the film, they had a perfectly, umbrella defense. I hate prevent defense, but they had a really good umbrella. The sidelines were protected, and when I think Dak thought he could really literally run up, get a spike in order to try to get something thrown into the end zone. On the next play, maybe have a second, but. They fumbled the ball. He gave it to the lineman instead of the side judge, and yeah, it was an ugly play for us. It was an ugly way to end the season.
Yeah, and you know that you've already expressed your appreciation of Mike McCarthy and what you feel like he can accomplish for the star, things of that nature. Serious question. So before that wasn't really with the vibe. You mentioned Sean Payton's name. I'm gonna give you two others: Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn.
Oh
There
man,
was some back and forth about whether or not those were the guys, and Mike McCarthy was kind of like the girlfriend still living in the house till he gets kicked out of the relationship.
hey, from coming from Cowboy Nation, we love Dan Quinn. We love what he's coming and done. There was just a certain type of player that we craved that we've always wanted that we never got until Dan Quinn got here. So he's kind of our savior. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we have no issues with Dan Quinn. Some of us would like to, nudge off Mike McCarthy in order for Dan Quinn to be the head guy. I don't see that happening, but I also hope that Jerry can keep Dan Quinn around as a D coordinator for a few more years because it's special what him and Michael Parsons are doing right now. On the flip side, I'm sorry, you want me to cut you? Go
Oh, go ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
On the flip side with Kellen Moore, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with Kellen Moore, right? He draws up all these fantastic plays. We're near the top statistically in offense. But I think it's just the timing of when he calls some of these plays is what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't think he's ready to take on an NFL team, but somebody might give him a shot and he could do a fantastic job. So we'll never know. But me personally, I hope he sticks around for a little bit, matures a little bit more before he moves on.
Interesting. So, is there any realistic shot at Sean Payton taking the sidelines and being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
I don't think so. Even if maybe if Mike McCarthy goes one and done in the wild card round, maybe whispers will happen. And it's got to be an ugly loss. You know what I mean? Like say, right now it looks like the 5 seed is going to go to the NFC South, and it looks like it's probably going to be Tampa Bay. Well, I say that now, but man, it's a mess down there, right?
Yeah.
If Dallas goes to Tampa and gets beat in ugly fashion, I think you can have, those conversations in Dallas, if Sean Payton may be the guy. But I think I'd rather have Dan Quinn than a Sean Payton.
What would have needed to be different for the NFC East hasn't had a repeat champion in almost 2 decades now. I lost count. I think it's 18 years or 19. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but we have not had a repeat champion in this division forever, and it looks like the Eagles are going to keep that trend going. What would have needed to be different in Arlington for Dallas to be 13-1 and for the Eagles to be looking at them? What would have needed to change?
I mean, look, Mike McCarthy loves to take care of his guys. He keeps them fresh. So when we went into Tampa, we didn't look like a team that was ready to hit. I mean, that's amongst other things, of course, but and it's been that way. He's been here. This is the third year. We haven't won a season opener since he's been here. So it's kind of his mantra. After that, we go on a little bit of a run. Up until we lose to you guys. We were going to lose that game to you because of Cooper Rush. Unless Dak Prescott came back that game, we kind of knew that you guys were going to have this. There was hope, but you guys had that game in hand. That Green Bay game, they shouldn't have lost. It was a little bit of a mismanagement of the clock in some places, much like Jacksonville. But if you take away those two losses, this game is really important with Jalen Hurts on the sideline. So we shot ourselves in the foot. It's our own fault, but those two things, those two unfortunate things, is just what happened.
How satisfied are you with Jerry Jones as a general manager?
Jerry as a general manager, it's interesting. The man has 3 Super Bowls, right? And I get it in 25 years, but let's go to the Eagle side. How many Super Bowls you guys have in your eternity?
Hey.
Hey, you don't have to take a shot. I'm sorry, Eagle fan. That's not me. But Jerry, I mean, you look at his draft history, right? I mean, we still have guys. I mean, Tyron was from the 2011 draft, and he's still, a very high level playing player. When you look at the other tackles taken in that draft, like the Anthony Costanzos and those guys, they're no longer in the league. So I think he's made the right decisions time and time again in the front half of the first round, right? Second round picks, they've been pretty iffy. They've only started getting, better lately. And he used to shoot for the stars in free agency. That's no longer the case. And I think the way the Dallas Cowboys are constructed today are pretty good, in comparison to the way we've done things in the past.
What's going on with the Odell Beckham thing? What happened there?
He's not healthy. I mean, that's what it boils down to. If he was healthy and ready to go, he'd be a Dallas Cowboy by now. Even with some of the cap problems that or some of the cap issues that we're going to run into in the future. Yeah, I think it's dead in the water unless he comes in on the practice squad and is ready to work.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So December 24th, Christmas Eve, we got a game to play. The Eagles are starting Gardner Minshew. I think he can get the job done. I've said 30-24 all week. I believe they go down there and I think they win this game. Your opinion, your predictions for the game.
Look, I haven't watched too much Eagles. I've only watched this week because I hate watching you guys, and I never do. But Gardner Minshew, he's a very, very good quarterback. He's not traditionally what you think in a quarterback, but Philadelphia doesn't do things in a traditional way. So I have Dallas 27, Eagles 24 in a close one. And you guys, Dallas doesn't cover the spread, but we get the win.
Any notable injuries on you guys' side? Anything we should know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So LVE, he's going to be out. Stopping the run, that's going to be high priority for us. It's going to be hard with, Damon Clark was a fifth round linebacker that's injured. Nobody thought he'd play this year. Much like Nakobe Dean situation, he's now starting for us. Young, good looking, tremendous player, very fast. Just, needs to put it together. And Anthony Barr, previously the Minnesota Vikings. Good inside the tackles. I think where you guys get them is if you extend plays out to the outside, make them run sideline to sideline, and yeah, I think that's going to be a big matchup, something big that we got to watch going into that game.
I was never worried about Damon Clark. Like I actually, minus injury, I actually thought he was the guy we was going to take care of. But after taking the chance on Sidney Jones a couple years ago and hoping he'd get healthy, and it never really worked out, I never saw that happening. But I've always thought that he could be potentially very, very good if given a chance and allowed to heal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's a little fast still, but hey, doctors clear him. He's out there. He's moving around, and hopefully he stays healthy.
All right. And who are the under the radar, lesser mentioned guys on Dallas that could help spearhead a win for the Cowboys?
So biggest thing here is Tyler Biotish at center. You guys got a big front. Big experience front. So getting that inside pressure of up in Dak Prescott's face, that's going to be a problem. So I think that battle is going to be really good. I also think that the Cowboys have to get Michael Gallup involved. He had one catch for like 3 yards against Jacksonville. He's our number 2 guy and kind of disappeared last week, so I expect him to get the ball in his hands early and often, and that only helps CeeDee Lamb on the other side. You know what I mean? Also, you guys have a fantastic defense. You guys run a lot of single high safety quarters. I'm watching the defense this week. It's really good. I think the way that you beat this Philadelphia defense is by dinking and dunking to the 4 Dallas Cowboys tight ends, running the ball. It's going to be tough sledding against that front, but if that we at least can continue to pressure you guys up front, dunk the ball downfield, take the shots when they're available. I think that's going to be a big matchup.
You're on record, man, and you said 30-24 Eagles, right?
27-24. Come on, man.
I thought I heard something else. I'm sorry. I must have been some technical difficulties on my side.
All right, you can bring me on afterwards and we talk about it. We debate about what happened.
All right, we'll see what happens, man. Angel, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Good catching up with you and everything. I appreciate everything you're doing and stuff. Miss our conversations and everything, but happy holidays to you and your family, and a late happy Veterans Day for me and everything. Appreciate all that you've done for our country, and it's sad that you picked the wrong team in life, but we're gonna
Come on, no, hey, but seriously, no, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be on, and we can talk anytime. Happy holidays to everyone, to you and your family as well.
All right, Angel, man. You have a good night, man.
Hey, same to you. Go
All
Cowboys.
right. Oh, Lord. And with that, we cut Angel off of the broadcast. Cowboys week, man. It just feels different, doesn't it? The trash talk hadn't really been what it was and everything. If you tuned in late, you're listening to the first episode of Inside the Eagles. Fanside made a mistake by giving me a live broadcast because it's going to get crazy around here, man. It's going to get very, very crazy. I got guests. I got some surprises coming up and everything. We can't fit it all into one night. And I promise you guys 90 minutes of material in about 60. And I've only covered about half of what I said that I would cover. But here's what we will cover: injuries. So as you know, Jalen Hurts is out with the right shoulder injury. He did not participate in practice on today. He's ruled out. Tyree Jackson. Raise your hand if you forget sometimes that Tyree Jackson is on the team. I do as well. I want to see every Eagle succeed. I don't want to wish anything wrong on anybody. Shout out to Karen Klein. Fantastic work there, young lady. Dallas sucks. Yes. Say it again for the people in the back. But Tyree Jackson, knee injury, did not participate in practice. He is out. Wide receiver Zach Pascal. Now, this is interesting. Zach, I didn't know this had happened when it had actually occurred. I didn't know this until Monday, but Zach Pascal suffered a concussion against the Chicago Bears. He was limited in practice. He was questionable for the game. If I'm not mistaken, they removed the questionable portion from him and gave him no designation ahead of the game. Now, I'm not saying this never happened. I personally have not seen anyone lifted from questionable and clear concussion protocol while on the plane before the game. I've never seen that. Like, as far as I know right now at this moment, Zach Pascal still has not completed concussion protocol, but he is traveling to Arlington, Texas with the team, and there is no guarantee for or against him playing on Saturday night versus the Dallas Cowboys. Reed Blankenship, how about his toughness? Reed Blankenship actually, what was that? Reed Blankenship had the knee injury versus the Giants, correct? They never put him on injured reserve, and he actually sat out of last week's game. Now, judging by this big behind knee brace he walked into the NovaCare Complex during Chicago week, I actually thought that he was probably going to be out for a while, but Reed Blankenship has been a full participant in practice. He's a tough son of a gun. He's been a full participant in practice on both Thursday and Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, and he's cleared for the game, as is Kayvon Wallace, who was actually dealing with some hip issues. And nobody has been more vocal in their criticism of Kayvon Wallace than I have been, but Kayvon Wallace showed me a little something last week. And the coaches, as much as we pick on them, we complain about play calling, we complain about this, we complain about that. But let's be honest, NFL coaches are NFL coaches for a reason. They know more about what they're doing than we do, even though we think that we can do better than they do because we can play Madden. And you know that's what it is. You can play Madden, so you think you can coach, and that's not exactly the same thing. The punt is not going to spin backwards just because you hit the L1 button. You're not going to throw a perfect log pass through the rain just because you tap the circle. It's not how coaching works. But they trust Kayvon Wallace. So as Kayvon Wallace is good enough for our coaching staff, as much as we picked on them, sometimes in jest from time to time, the coaches know more about what they're doing than I know. So Kayvon Wallace hip injury, full participant in practice on Thursday and Wednesday, and he's expected to go as well. So we have a safety unit. If I'm not mistaken, this is the fourth game of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a.k.a. CJ, being on injured reserve, so he is eligible to return after this game. We'll see if he's healthy or not. Lacerated kidneys are no joke. That can lead to some internal bleeding. That can lead to all kinds of other things. And it seems from what I've heard that the lacerated kidney would have been less of an issue. That sounds ridiculous to say that, right? The lacerated kidney would have been less of an issue had it not been for some rib discomfort as well. So I personally, at this time, and I've been wrong before, I would say we probably don't see CJ until the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. Playoff scenarios. There are two ways that the Eagles make the playoffs. 3 games remain for both the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys need to lose one of their remaining 3 games. The Philadelphia Eagles need to win one of their 3 remaining games, and they have clinched home field advantage throughout the entire playoff structure. I think we can kill 2 Cowboys with 1 stone this weekend. Amen, ladies and gentlemen. Slap your neighbor and tell them, let's beat the Cowboys this weekend. The question then becomes is, and you guys are more than welcome to weigh in. We're just tossing out theories and ideas here. What happens after that? Now this is just my opinion. I stated this earlier and everything. There is nothing concrete to dictate what I'm saying is fact. This is my opinion. I love Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni has done a hell of a job as the Eagles coaches. There are some things about Nick Sirianni that get on my nerves from time to time. Nick reads too much about what's being said and then uses the game as his defense. Now, I'm not mad at them for showcasing A.J. Brown against the Tennessee Titans. I actually thought that was funny. But look at the 2 games that the Eagles have struggled the most in recently. There was some personal stuff going on. You had the Indianapolis Colts game where he's going back to the team that he coached for that fired his homeboy, and he's really upset about this and everything. Emotion is a part of the game. I get that and everything. Could have had something to do with the struggle. I'm not sure. Can't verify that. We'll never know. Doesn't matter. The Eagles got to win. Who cares? But the Chicago Bears game, and I think some of Jalen's injury, again, my opinion, no one else's. You guys are free to agree, disagree, whatever. I believe some of the reason Jalen was put in harm's way was because we got mad about what Micah Parsons said, and we're going to prove to Micah Parsons that Jalen Hurts is the MVP right here, right now against Chicago. I personally would have much rather have proved that point in Arlington versus the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm fully confident in Gardner Minshew. You are not going to get me to say anything about Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner Minshew to death. I think he's awesome. I watched Nick Foles go to Jacksonville. I watched him injure, did he break his collarbone? I watched him break his collarbone in the first game of the 2019 regular season. I watched Gardner Minshew walk in cold, not expecting to play, and he played very well. You saw what he did against the Jets last year. And again, that's the Jets. But the Eagles coaching staff feels very confident. Nick Sirianni, in an uncharacteristic move for Nick Sirianni, announced Gardner Minshew as the starter. This is what he had to say. Again, if you missed it.
It's looking like it's going to be Gardner. Jalen did everything he possibly could to get his body ready to go, and it just at the end of the day, he's not gonna be able to do it. And he tried like crazy, and I know he still wants to go. That's just the toughness that Jalen Hurts is the toughest player I've ever been around.
We'd agree with that. Gardner's tough too. Here's what I'm thinking: big game by Dallas Goedert. They're called the security blankets for quarterbacks for a reason. We know how great Dallas Goedert is. We know how much we trust Dallas Goedert. Remember, Jets game last year, Gardner Minshew steps in. Dallas Goedert ends up with 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. The final game of the season, a game the Eagles weren't actually trying to win. Dallas, did the unclassy, characteristic Dallas Cowboys stuff. We're going to run up the score on the junior varsity. The Dallas Cowboys come in and put up 50 on the Eagles, or high-fiving and all kinds of all things. And if I would have been there, I would have stepped on the field, got arrested, and slapped somebody. But in that game, if you remember, Gardner Minshew also targeted Richard Rodgers more than we'd seen all season, and got a target and a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, to Tyree Jackson. So expect the tight ends to be a huge factor in everything. And I do think Dallas Goedert comes back in his first game back. I think he has a good game. David Pops Mager, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. Chicago game offense OF play calling was the worst, in my opinion. Not running the entire first half, in my opinion, led to that injury. That being said, I hope we learn from that. And I would totally agree with that. Mr. Mager, I believe you're actually right and everything. Waited too late to go to Miles Sanders in that instance. Miles Sanders coming off of a career day. A fantastic performance against the New York Giants. Showed some of that explosion and things of that nature. And I would just like to take this opportunity to say that though it's Bush League to say I told you so, if y'all have been rocking with Inside the Eagles for a while, and I know that a lot of y'all have, and we definitely appreciate y'all showing up every single day to tell us we're stupid or we have no idea what we're talking about, or you love us, or whatever it is that you guys say. We appreciate all of y'all because you guys are the ones that make us go. You guys hanging out with me on Christmas Eve, I would like to say thank you, because you guys are who makes us what we are, and you guys make us feel like showing up to work every day that we're not actually working. So thank you so much. But I would actually agree with Dave on that one. I would think that we waited too late to get to the running game and things of that nature. And I personally believe that they will learn from that, because one thing that we have actually figured out about this coaching staff is this coaching staff figures out what they're doing wrong and they correct it pretty quickly. Remember, it was a couple of weeks ago we were talking about it. We were going to lose the Super Bowl because of special teams. We couldn't stop the run. Remember that? Jonathan Gannon needs to go. Nobody, in-game adjustments, I'm still 50-50 on, but nobody goes back, watches the tape, and comes back with a better game plan than the Philadelphia Eagles. I have not seen that. The only person I could actually say that comes close is probably Brian Daboll as far as adjustments with the New York Giants and everything, but the Giants suck. So who cares? 100. Shout out to everybody that's watching us on here tonight. Ike Reese. Now, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Ike Reese. He got us ready for the game as only Ike Reese can, and it was fantastic work what he did. If you missed the hype video for the December run for this next game, I got it queued up for you and everything. Y'all run that, and we'll be right back.
It's the best time of the year, a time for festive cheer. Spending time with... Hold up. We ain't talking holidays. Nah, December football. The time of the year where seasons are defined. When work put in during the summer heat pays off in the unforgiving winter. When some journeys conclude, but ours is just getting interesting. Yeah, in Philly, our fans have a little thing with Dallas. But don't mistake those feelings for motivation.
Make sure we understand what our motivation is.
Everything that motivates us is right here.
What about the men in this room?
We trust in our preparation. We're bonded by our brotherhood, and we're accountable to one another. We compete at a full throttle.
That's the dog mentality.
And when the work pays off, we enjoy those moments. No matter what. This is a team. Nah, scratch that. This is a family. Highs, lows, and everything else in between, we do it together. We worked hard to get this far. And the work is far from done.
Somebody got to pay.
Right now, it's all about this moment. December football. Season's greetings. Go Birds.
The Philadelphia Eagles social media team, man, I think is the most beast mode social media team I've ever seen in my life. Like, that stuff there, nobody does that stuff better than the Philadelphia Eagles social media team. Like, they're on top of everything. They're kicking behind. I cheat and copy what they're doing sometimes and use that on our social media. I hate Dallas. Angel is still texting me about the Dallas Cowboys and things of that nature and stuff. Like, I'll give him credit. He was actually vocal. The rest of these Cowboy fans, like, I totally just despise Cowboy fans. Now, if you tune in late, I opened with my rant, and I was sitting there telling you about the fact that we have kind of lost that. Our hatred of the Cowboys has become so intense that we have forgotten that we hate the Giants. The Commanders have never really been. You hate the Commanders, but you don't hate them like you hate the Giants and the Cowboys. And I think some of the reason for us easing off the gas with our insults of Big Blue comes from the fact that we always beat Big Blue. Now, I'm old, so I know about some of the struggles we've been through and stuff like that. I remember Ron Jaworski calling a timeout because he couldn't find Lawrence Taylor, and Lawrence Taylor was on the sideline. I remember that. I remember the 9-game losing streak to the Giants, and the Eagles just couldn't beat them. I remember that loss in the playoffs. But the tide has turned. I don't have the numbers in front of me and everything, but if I was just to throw out a number off the top of my head, what are we now against the Giants? Like 25 out the last 30? It hasn't felt like a rivalry for a while. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have gotten on our nerves and things of that nature. But I won't speak for everybody in the Eagles fan base, but I will believe that some of y'all will agree with me when I say that the reason you don't hate the Giants as much as you hate the Cowboys right now in this juncture, if you agree with that statement, is you actually respect the Giants a little bit. You can't stand them, you hate them and everything, but you kind of respect the Giants. You don't respect the Cowboys. What is there to respect? It's just the most irritating, most annoying, most football illiterate fan base I've ever seen. There's no There is no common ground. There is no intelligent conversation with a Cowboys fan. I have never been more frustrated than I was 2 weeks ago when I actually brought myself down to the level of the Cowboys and got into an intense back and forth with a Cowboys fan on Twitter. And you know what my aunt told me? My aunt is 50 years old. I'm saying 50, she's actually older than that and everything and stuff, but you know, she won't let me say how old she is. So I'm gonna put her at 50. My aunt called me on FaceTime and was shocked to see me. How is it possible I'm seeing you? I say, Auntie, we're on FaceTime. She said, oh, because I was trying to send you a text message. That's how old my aunt is. A little out of touch with technology and things of that nature. My aunt told me, you was talking about the Cowboys with a Cowboys fan, wasn't you? And I got quiet because everything made sense. You can't argue with a Cowboys fan. You can't talk to a Cowboys fan about the Cowboys. It is a waste of your time. They have gone dormant. They have gone quiet. You can barely find a Cowboys fan because you know why? Because they hide when things go wrong. If the Cowboys win tomorrow on Christmas Eve, I'm telling you what they're going to do. They will be all over the place. You will not be able to escape them. Just ignore them. Because the opposite is also true. If the Eagles go down to AT&T Stadium and beat the Cowboys on Christmas Eve with Gardner Minshew as quarterback, you will not hear from the Cowboys for the rest of the season. At least until the playoffs. That's what they do. They're around when things go well. They hide when things go wrong. I truly despise this football team. You respect the Giants, kind of, sort of, even if you don't want to admit it. You have no respect for the Cowboys. But the sad thing is, and Joseph, you're right, Cowboys fans live in the past. We're going to get to that in a second because Joseph brings up a very good point. Some of you have some black sheep in your family. Some of you, I have them in my own family. Some of you are related to Cowboys fans. So when Christmas comes around and it's time for the season of giving or New Year's Eve or whatever it is you're celebrating, you at some point may come into contact with a Cowboys fan. So ladies and gentlemen, I have done you what they call a solid. You ready for what it is? This is an early Christmas present for me. It's not a Christmas present for Dallas Cowboy fans because if I gave Cowboys fans a Christmas present, it would be an empty box because they don't deserve anything. But for you, my friends in the mighty Eagles nation, I have come up with, watch the scroll at the bottom, 10 commandments, how to conduct oneself around Cowboys fans. I am going to teach you after years upon years upon years of experience with dealing with these annoying people. I'm going to teach you right now 10 laws. And if you place them on the tablets of your heart, as they did with Moses, 10 laws, 10 commandments, how to conduct yourself around Cowboys fans. Put these on your heart. Remember these, cherish these forever. Write them down. Record this broadcast. Replay it for others. Share it on social media. I promise you, once you master these concepts, the Cowboys will never bother you again. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. The Cowboys fans will never get on your nerves again. And I'm going to show you how to do it right now. Rule number 1, how to deal with Cowboys fans. That's not the rule. That was the entire list. But rule number 1. This is the NFL's most delusional fan base. Once you get that, everything else is easy. See how simple that was? See how that's just registered with your heart? See how excited you got about what I just said? Say it one more time. This is the NFL's most delusional fan base. Once you get that, everything else is easy. If you hear what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, slap your neighbor like you do in church and tell them amen. You know that delusion. You know I have no idea what they're talking about. You know they sit up here. I got into an argument with a Cowboys fan in the grocery store. One mistake I made. He sat there and looked at me last season, and he sat there and said, you know we're going to beat y'all tonight, right? I said, you probably are. He was shocked. I sat there and said, it's not going to always be like this, but y'all are the better team right now. But we coming. He was shocked. You going to let me sit here and say that I'm going to beat your team? I told him, we have never as Eagles fans been confused about what our team is. That's you guys' problem. Y'all the ones that think y'all are something that y'all ain't. That's what Cowboys fans do. And if we did that, we would be Cowboys fans. We are not. We were raised better than that. Rule number 2, how to deal with Cowboys fans. Never lose sight of the fact that this is the NFL's most football illiterate fan base. They don't know what they're talking about. They never have. When have you ever gotten into a conversation with a Cowboys fan, left the conversation and felt like you learned something? It's never happened. It's never going to happen. Rule number 3, Cowboys fans don't know about their own team than you do. Everyone except for Dallas fans knows what that means. Do I really have to explain that one? I was in a mall, and this is a true story. As God is my witness, may he strike me down right now if I'm lying. Larry Brown walks in. You remember the guy that got the 2 interceptions off of Neil O'Donnell in the Super Bowl and everything? He walks in. One of the greatest wins in Cowboys history, one of your 5 Super Bowls that you're always arguing about because you live in the past. A Cowboy walks in from one of the greatest games the Cowboy ever played, and the only person that recognized him was me, with diehard Cowboys fans sitting beside me. Oh, y'all don't even see your boy? Like, you don't even know what that is, do you? They didn't. They truly, truly didn't. Rule number 4, don't get into a discussion about facts. You'll only frustrate yourselves. I've given you 3 stories about 3 conversations I've had with the Cowboys fans, and what was the common denominator in all of them? I left ticked off and angry. Why did I leave ticked off and angry? Because I thought I was actually going to have a sensible conversation about football with somebody wearing blue and gray. It is impossible to do. Do not waste your time. You're only going to make yourself angry. Rule number 5, she looks depressed. Don't engage if at all possible. I said this in the opening rant. The Cowboys are like a former spouse or significant other who never got over the fact that you dumped them, and they'll do whatever it takes to strike up an argument. You ever been minding your own business on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you post something really positive about your team, and some Cowboys fan you've never met before in your life pops up in your line to say something stupid? That's what they do. Ignore them. I'd like to tell you that they'll go away, but that is a lie. That's not going to happen. Rule number 6, Cowboys fans only want to bring up historical facts when it benefits their argument. That's what our homeboy Joseph Gallardo told us about 3 minutes ago. We told you we'll get back to that. Joseph hit the nail on the head. The Cowboys live in the past. They don't want you to live in the past. You talk about your Super Bowl, they get angry. You say that your team got 3 championships and a Super Bowl, they get angry. You tell them that you just won the Super Bowl a few years ago and might win again this year, they get angry. But they don't want to talk about the fact that the last time their team won a Super Bowl, it was replayed on VHS tapes. I have a friend that's a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't understand why I still deal with these people. A friend that's a Dallas Cowboys fan that has VHS tapes of all their Super Bowls. Raise your hand if you haven't used a VCR in 15 years. Rule number 7, don't get into a back and forth about how many Super Bowls they've won. Most of them don't remember them anyway. And the ladies and men in the church all said, amen. They brag, live in the past, like Joseph said. They live in the past and don't even know what they're talking about. I'm sitting in a mall, and the guy that intercepts 2 passes off Neil O'Donnell walks right by the table. They don't even recognize the guy. I had to tell them who he was. Number 8, look at this fine citizen. Remember that you don't have to defend your team's current standing. Eagles fans have always had realistic expectations. We know what our team is and what they are. It's the Cowboys fans who are confused. Nobody is more confused about anything football related than Cowboys fans. The Cowboys are the most, it's almost like, and no disrespect to Beyonce because I love Beyonce, but the Beehive, you ever saw somebody say something about Beyonce that the Beehive didn't like, how they just get attacked? They get angry like they know this woman. Cowboys fans are sort of like that. They're like the beehive of the NFL. But where they fail is the beehive is a lot more intelligent. Rule number 9. This is very important. If you don't remember anything else, you remember this. Never, ever, 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 ever are you to refer to the Cowboys as America's team. Don't do it. They are not America's team. The term America's team came from the NFL films. You know the NFL films we watch all the time and everything? This particular broadcast was dedicated to the fact that when the Cowboys were on the road, there were people on the road that were cheering for the Cowboys, and that's where the whole America's team came from. This is a fan base that actually believes that God cares about what their football team is doing. But they're so silly that they think in order for God to watch a football game, they had to cut a hole in the roof. Don't you know that if God wanted to watch football, you don't have to cut a hole in the roof? That's exactly what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. One more time. If you don't remember anything else, never, ever are you to refer to the Cowboys as America's team. And look at this fine citizen. We'll divorce Dak. We'll divorce for Dak. Go Cowboys. Wonder how her husband feels about that. Rule number 10. Don't spend a ton of time getting to know a Cowboys fan. As soon as their season ends, because it will, they have failed to get back to the Super Bowl 27 straight years. And we keep hearing every single year, they do it because they know it's going to get on your nerves and it's going to get you talking. Don't fall for the trick. It's a trick, ladies and gentlemen. They know if we say, regardless of whether we believe this or not, the Dallas Cowboys are going to get win to the Super Bowl, we're going to talk about this all day. And that's why they do it. But don't spend a ton of time getting to know a Cowboys fan. It is not worth your time. You'll never get to talk to them about football. You'll never hear anything important or wholesome come out of their mouths. As soon as the Cowboys season ends, because it will, you will never hear them again. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 10 commandments of how you deal with Cowboys fans. Write them down on the tablets of your heart. Share them. Replay this video. Study that if you need to, because that came from years upon years upon years of being irritated by these people. And David, you've been rocking with us all night, man. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us. Guys like you are why we do what we do. The people with the top fan badges and everything, everybody that comes to Inside the Eagles every day, everybody that goes to the website, everybody that's made it successful, you guys are why I was able to make this a full-time job and spend all my day doing what we love to do, talk about the Eagles, even if you can't stand me, because some of y'all show up every day to tell me I'm stupid. But I appreciate y'all just like I appreciate everybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. Let me just go by down everything. If you will, bookmark InsideTheEagles.com. Rock out with us and everything. Millions of people come to our site monthly just to see what we got to say about this team. We appreciate you. Like Inside the Eagles on Facebook. Hang out with me on IG. That's GQ_4_EVA. Follow us on Twitter. Hang out with us on Twitter. We're always cutting up. And subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel. This broadcast is being broadcast right now on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. And we appreciate every single one of y'all for hanging out with us and everything. Hang out with us again next week. December 30th will be a day before Christmas Eve, just like we're a day before the holidays. So we'll get a chance to tell you guys Happy New Year on that day and everything. Follow Inside the Eagles on Twitter again. But we appreciate y'all for taking some of y'all's holiday to hang out with us and everything. It's been a pleasure doing this with you guys tonight. We appreciate Angel Torres for taking time out of his schedule. Probably one of like about 5 Cowboys fans that I like. And we appreciate you guys for rocking with us on every single day and every afternoon. Thank you. God bless y'all. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever it is that you celebrate, God bless y'all. Go Eagles.